best pro wrestling podcast.
I hear that TNA is hiring.
Samoa Joe. Yeah!
Nia Jax is the greatest female competitor ever step in the ring.
She's not like most girls.
How you doing?
Knee to the face.
What a week it's been. So much to talk about.
There is so much to... Well, man, what are we going to talk about this week? I mean...
Tacos.
There's a...
Ha-ha Clindix. Spaghetti and blankets.
Yeah, it's just been one of those weeks where it's been slow news and nothing much to talk about. So while you're listening to this show, I don't even know. No, we're going to talk about WrestleMania and NXT Takeover mainly on this show today. My name's Tommy Stryker. That's Joe over there.
What's up?
Taco is here.
What up?
And yeah, this is the best pro wrestling podcast where we talk about WrestleMania and NXT Takeover. We recorded an hour-and-a-half podcast earlier talking about Ring of Honor's Super Card of Honor mostly, but we also touched on a lot of the indie stuff that went on over WrestleMania weekend.
Lots of good shit.
So check out that over there. We talked a little bit of New Japan on there. Not a ton of New Japan stuff to talk this week, but those guys were out on the indies, on some of those indie shows, and on Super Card of Honor. And we previewed a couple of little New Japan things coming up over the next couple of weeks. So check that out for sure if you're into that stuff. But not much to talk about there on this podcast this week as far as the indie stuff, Ring of Honor and New Japan, because while WrestleMania was, man, it was long, but it was overall I thought it was really good. I liked the show for the most part. I did think it was too long. I did think that we could have lost a few matches on the show. We'll kind of go over all that stuff as we go here. But right off the bat, and we'll talk about NXT TakeOver second here, but TakeOver was just such a perfect show.
It was amazing.
So good. So we'll get to that whole thing, but just an amazing show. Check out NXT TakeOver if you haven't already. So I guess let's just jump right into with the WrestleMania stuff. We'll probably bounce all over the place today between Raw and SmackDown and 205 and everything else. So we'll just kind of hit it all as we go to it. But I think where do you want to start with on WrestleMania? Do we start
Get the pre-show stuff out of the way?
You want to get the pre-show out of it? You want to start this hype up podcast? Everybody's excited to talk about hot topics, and you want to talk about the Andre Battle Royal and the.
Gotta leave them wanting
I just
more.
want to say
Tommy.
Battle Royals, they were what they were. I like the interaction between Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. It was just kind of awkward at the end there. I thought Matt Hardy looked like he was about to wrestle Bray Wyatt, and then he won all of a sudden. I just kind of wanted to go to that Cruiserweight match, and I was kind of disappointed.
Yeah, granted, we try to keep things a little more positive on this show. I don't want to have a podcast just full of bitching and complaining.
No.
Because that's every other wrestling podcast. But largely here, because that Cruiserweight tournament on 205 Live was really good, and we had some really good matches leading up to it. And then
Longer matches than this, I feel.
well, right, and you kind of thought, well, maybe because it's on the pre-show, maybe it'll get a little more time to shine. And that was kind of a theme of WrestleMania because there was so much on the card, it felt like a lot of the matches got rushed. Like, we'll get to everything as we go through, but like Charlotte and Asuka, I thought that was a really good match, but I thought it would have been even better had it maybe like 5 more minutes to it.
Yep.
It just felt like they were rushing through it and rushed to the finish of the match. I thought they were telling a good story. I liked what they were doing, but again, just a little rushed. And that was, there were several moments I felt like that was going on throughout the night of WrestleMania, but that to me was the one that stood out the most because honestly, kind of going back and just looking at WrestleMania as a whole, I feel like that Asuka and Charlotte match was probably my favorite match in the ring of the night. The Ronda Rousey one I thought was really good, and I thought Rousey was impressive, but that didn't feel like a match of the night. And like Nakamura and AJ, another good match, but I thought it didn't really live up to the expectations.
I think the thing there, just to compare the two, I guess Royal Rumble winners, is it was essentially the same story being told of, someone highly respected and legendary in a sense, winning a Rumble and then going on to face the best champion to hold that championship at the moment. It's just I felt like there was more rivalry between the ladies than AJ and Nakamura in a sense.
Yeah, because the Nakamura AJ thing didn't. I mean, obviously
they weren't pairing up Charlotte and Asuka a week before WrestleMania and I'd say a tag match.
Yeah, and they tried to do a couple of little gimmicks to make it more interesting. And we actually kind of talked about this on the preview last week, just in that there just wasn't a lot of heat for that match, and then they had the match, and it just was kind of there, and the story is about what happened after the match with Shinsuke turning, and boy, did that feel like it was so right.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Felt so good.
Good. It felt right. It was exactly what Shinsuke needed. Just that aggression, and it feels like he's hitting a little bit harder. And the reaction that just him getting interviewed on SmackDown, talking to Renee, like, oh, I'm sorry for going off on it. I must have gotten emotional, and then just giving her that little wink, like, oh, this fucking guy,
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people are kind of giving some guff on this match. And no, it's a good fucking match. Kind of what was expected out of it. I did go back and rewatch it right after rewatching their New Japan match because I was like, fuck it, let's see what's going on back to back
sure.
or whatever. And going into the New Japan match, AJ's the fucking cocky heel, fucking getting up in his face, full of, just everything. And there's Nakamura, oh, hail him, he's the greatest thing to ever. And, they had an intense battle, and at the end, they ended up gaining each other's respect with that, that little fist bump.
Right.
Fast forward to the WWE, they both had that respect for each other, and then, all this shit's going on. There was no heat there, like we were just saying. There's nothing burning that feud. There's no reason other than, oh, we respect each other. And then Nakamura just turning heel on him. It's almost like reverse what happened at New Japan. Respect was. I'm taking that back.
Right.
Fuck you.
He's tired of all this respect bullshit. Fucking people don't respect me enough. I'm the king of strong style.
So
fuck you guys. I'm not gonna speak English anymore.
I'm almost hoping that they're telling a trilogy in a wrestling nerd sense outside of the WWE sense. Looking at it that way to me, and
sure.
Hopefully, a third bout between them is going to be that that spectacle that they were that dream match. Okay, you could stop pushing that down our throat.
Yeah, it was the dream match stuff. It was true. It was almost too much. It was just pushed on us. But it wasn't bad. It was
a good match.
It was what it was, and there wasn't really a story being. They were just in there doing stuff, and then AJ wins and Shinsuke turns on him. So that's pretty much all there is to say.
The finish was pretty good. I mean, just him rolling and hitting that Styles Clash at the end.
Yeah.
I like the finish in that sense, but again, just not mad. Just disappointed.
And I think some of the
I guess.
New Japan people, fans out there now, we're expecting more kickouts, that New Japan style.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nakamura trying to overcome the odds. And I kind of was personally hoping, I can't think of AJ's finisher, but that top rope finish he does. That
phenomenal forearm?
Yeah, no, that crazy fucking, he does like a
450 splash. Right?
Yeah, it's some crazy fucking twist splash thing he does off the top rope. I'm sure someone's screaming at me right now the name of it, but it's not a move he does that often. So it would have been like that Brock Lesnar attempting a shooting star press at WrestleMania, just actually nailing it in an awesome situation. But like I said, it's just one of those matches that's there to continue their saga that they have going on.
All right, let's stick with some top matches since we're kind of at the top of the card there. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. This came out of fucking nowhere for me, man.
Yep. We all were predicting.
Count me and the rest of the internet as the ones that got worked.
I said Lesnar was going to retain, y'all.
You did. You predicted it well. But I mean, there was the news of Lesnar re-signing this week.
Yep.
That's interesting. I wonder how much Dana White was paid to say that Brock Lesnar was coming back to the UFC. And who knows, maybe they have another deal worked out like they did
He's
before.
never not said Brock Lesnar is not going to fight in the UFC. It's always been an option for Brock Lesnar. It's just lining up the right fight to make the right money.
Right. Well, and Brock's got a pretty good deal as it is anyway with WWE too. So he's not going to make the same amount of money like he would for like one fight for a UFC. But I mean, that's a completely different animal then too. But yeah, I definitely got worked up into the whole thing. They did a pretty good job making us think that Brock Lesnar was going to leave, putting all the heat on Brock and a little bit on Paul Heyman, of course, and even putting a little bit on Vince on the thing, even though Roman Reigns is, quote, Vince's boy. So, and yeah, they've been building this thing up for a year. Nobody's kicked out of the F5. Roman kicks out of 4 or 5 F5.
5 of them and get 6 through a table.
in the match, but that's not the story isn't that Roman kicked out of so many of them. It's that fucking he didn't matter. He got his ass kicked, and fucking Brock dominated, kicked his ass, hit him with a bunch of F5s. Yeah, he kicked out, but it came across as a pummeling to me. It didn't come across as, oh my God, Roman was like, he was so close because he kicked out of so many F5s. It just came across as Brock kicking his ass. Then he made him bleed and made him look like a bitch, and then he beat him. And
I loved it because that is absolutely opposite of what everything fucking everyone is thinking is going to happen. And look at all this fucking heat on Lesnar right now. And if you're telling me that Roman ain't over right now, look how many people are crying that Lesnar won. Okay, like
it's true.
What more do you fucking want? Lesnar won. He walked out. He whooped Roman's ass, and people are fucking screaming at WrestleMania because of that.
It's interesting though too. It's kind of a concession that Roman isn't over enough to win in that spot, but at the same time, it's like it's doubling down on Brock is going to be our top heel now and the top champ. So it feels like the right decision. And I think what makes it even more interesting is what happened on Monday Night Raw. But again, it could be that we know Roman is going to come out on Monday and get booed and all of this. So let's just play into it. He comes out, gets booed. He's bitching about some stuff. He's like, I've been left in the dark and what's going on with this and that. And then here comes Samoa Joe. Everybody that's at the Raw after Mania loves Samoa Joe. Perfect spot for him to come back. And the way he talked shit to Roman was so good.
Perfect.
He did it in a way where that people that are fans of Roman Reigns are going to look at Samoa Joe as the antagonist here, as the heel, and just fans of that are fans of Samoa Joe are going to love what he's doing. And I'm a big fan of it too. I don't really know how to feel about Roman Reigns at this time. He's obviously not my top babyface, the top guy I root for in the company as a fan as I'm watching, but I don't mind his matches. I look forward to seeing what he does. He does come across. He is one of their top stars. I just don't know how I feel about
perfect though, because the thing about last year's WrestleMania, basically booed out the fucking arena, and then they've slowly rebuilt him, and now he's at this point where Roman Reigns is fucking shaky. It's like, what the fuck is going on with Roman Reigns? And we're in the same boat as fans, like, what the fuck is going on with Roman Reigns? Like, I don't know how to feel about him anymore. So they're doing a really good job at making us God, I don't even have the right fucking word in my head right now, but we're drinking beers with this podcast.
we're only one in here. We're not. But it's not Joey Janela's spring break over here or anything like that. So,
but there's that conflict, though. Inside and outside for one wrestler for people, and yeah, they're getting the right stride with Roman and keeping putting all the heat on Brock Lesnar because he could take the fucking cheap shitty heat. He could take the headlines. He could take the fucking social media making shitty memes about him because guess what? He doesn't give a fuck.
Zero fuck.
Well, and when Brock won the thing, at first I popped. I'm like, oh fuck, this is awesome. I thought it was cool, and I got a kick out of it. So in my little world, in my little head, in my little smart body here, Brock is kind of the babyface, and Roman is. I can't say Roman's the heel. I can't root against the guy, but I still feel like he's in the wrong role. And even with what they did on Monday with him kind of bitching about the loss or whatever, and the situation, the booking, or what management is doing, that kind of thing, came across kind of heelish. But by no means do I think they're turning Roman Reigns heel. Even though I think they should, and a lot of people think they should, I don't think they're going to go that way. I think they're going to walk that line with him, and they're going to do what they did with John Cena. They're going to walk that line and play to the crowds that are going to be behind him more, and play with the do what they did with Samoa Joe, basically, and do what they did with Brock Lesnar to appease the fans that are going to like those guys more.
And I think that's going to be fine because, again, think about Roman last year. We were bitching and moaning about his matches. It wasn't just about him. It was about the fact that he put on boring matches. And slowly through the year, between feuds with Samoa Joe, with Braun Strowman, leading into Brock Lesnar, he's put on these matches, and we're like, well, yeah, I'm fucking interested. Let's check this out. And like you said, it was a fucking brutalizing.
And it's interesting you bring that up, that they've kind of built him up over the last year with the Strowman feud and all of that, and even Samoa Joe and stuff. And again, yeah, I feel like he's in the wrong role, but I'm interested in what he's doing and what's going on with him. So that's a big plus right there. So Samoa Joe Monday night comes out and says, look, you're going to have your little cage match with Brock Lesnar at the biggest Royal Rumble here in a couple weeks. I want the winner at Backlash. So that either way, that's a match I want to see. I want to see Samoa Joe and Roman. I want to see Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar. So
yeah, either way we win.
Yeah, that's the thing is Samoa Joe, after coming back, being gone for a while with the injury, now him coming back, it's like, ooh, these matchups feel fresh now. Even though we've seen Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe, we've seen Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe, but I want to see them again. And I really like Samoa Joe being that badass that backs it up, and I want to see more of that, because and he's being presented as a heel kind of, but not entirely, with going up against a Roman Reigns. And that's just going to get Samoa Joe more over with the people that are against Roman Reigns, and it'll get Samoa Joe heat with the people that are for Roman Reigns. Let's see the buffer match, the Bar versus Strowman and Nicholas. Boy, I don't know why I'm going here already, but
they could have. This is perfect example. Off the card. Yeah, not needed. Great talents.
I'm just going to go over, because we got the timestamps here for everything on the main card here, and I want to go, like, the shortest ones probably did not need to be on WrestleMania. Yeah, the U.S. Championship match with Jinder beating Randy, Bobby Roode, and Rusev, 8 minutes. I could have done without that. I could have done without the Bludgeon Brothers match. That basically the tag matches. They were all shortened. 4 minutes for Braun Strowman and Nicholas. And I'm gonna say it. And this might not be very popular, because I saw a lot of positivity towards what they did with the Undertaker and John Cena. I didn't need that on WrestleMania. No. Here's the thing: I'm glad that the way, I shouldn't even say glad, but if you're going to have Undertaker come out and just do the greatest hits and go home, I guess that's okay. But there's a part of me,
isn't that what Raw 25 was for?
There's the internet screaming inside of me that John Cena has had the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years of these great matches with the younger talent, putting guys over in long, interesting matches. He's really gotten over with the podcast wrestling podcasters of the world the last few years. He's done better. He's had put on good matches. Don't you throw away a little bit of that equity when you come out and lose to 2 minutes to the Undertaker? Yeah, he's the Undertaker. He's the dead man. He's got the great entrance, and there are people raving about. People love the Undertaker. People love the entrance. He comes out and does what the Undertaker does. Does the old.
I could take 3 minutes less off of that entrance, and I'd be perfectly okay with that.
So it may be an unpopular opinion. I don't know, because I have seen some positivity on this thing. But I mean, the
only good thing that really came out of it was the fact that Undertaker, if this is it, but now I know it's not because I saw that he's advertised for the Greatest Royal Rumble now.
Yeah, and a buried alive match against Rusev. So you're telling me that fucking John Cena spent over a month calling out the Undertaker and nothing, and then Saudi Arabia is like, hey, we have all this money, and it's like, yes, belly each other. Crush.
But again, the only good thing I try to take out of it is just giving him that solid win at WrestleMania to walk away. Who knows how long the guy wrestles? I fear he is going to wrestle till he's 75 years old.
What about the Elias part of this?
Perfect. That was perfect.
See, to me, that bothered me even more because now we're bringing Elias out to do a concert. John Cena, he interrupts John Cena to do the concert. Is what happened, right? And so, am I getting that right? Or did John Cena come out first?
John Cena came out first, and then the lights went dark, and then Elias came out to just a bunch of fucking boos, and he started doing his Elias thing.
Right. So, I mean, this was a long, the match with The Undertaker was short, but this was a long segment on WrestleMania with what they did with Elias in the concert and teasing The Undertaker, and he's not coming, and oh my God, he's coming now. Long entrance, short match. So, and again, let's try
But you have Elias in a segment with John Cena and The Undertaker at WrestleMania. This is way better than The Rock coming out with a fucking sledgehammer and hitting a boulder, and then The Rock is carved out or some stupid shit like that.
That was exactly going to be my next point. Is that on a tight WrestleMania show without a lot of bullshit, like we didn't have Rock with a flamethrower. We didn't have the Uso or the New Day with a giant box of Bootios or whatever.
Right.
There wasn't a lot of fuck around on the show, not long promos. So this was kind of the only kind of long talking.
And you gotta look at segment. Where this is. It's in the middle of the fucking card, and you look at the 2-hour IndyCar things that are happening this weekend. They had an intermission. Ring of Honor had a really long intermission. NXT didn't have an intermission, but they know how to manage their time. WrestleMania, this is essentially their intermission. So that's what John Cena and Undertaker has been belittled to, is intermission at WrestleMania. That's why this was not fucking needed. I'd rather have had a longer match between the fucking Bludgeon Brothers, Usos, and fucking New Day than having just, it did more for Elias than it did seeing Undertaker back.
It's really sad that three-way tag that you just talked about was only just under 6 minutes long.
Yeah, it's like, I get
so
it.
Disappointing.
I get these guys need a fucking crush, like Bludgeon Brothers. That's the thing right now. Yeah, they're gonna fuck shit up. But there's so much more these three guys can fucking do and on a giant stage like this.
I go back to, and again, it's a good story with the Usos never having that match on WrestleMania or whatever. But I would rather have them in a longer good match, or not on the card not on the card at all, so you have time for these other bigger stories.
There's a story there between those three. Braun Strowman in the bar, not really. We don't need it.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're great fucking talents. They are worth every bit of fucking money you're paying them, if not more. There's not a spot for WrestleMania. There's so much fucking going on. We need to get this through your heads that it's just not everyone can make it. It's got to be a tough situation.
Well, we just don't need WWE, i.e. Vince McMahon, feels like we want this. Like, we want the giant box of Bootios. We want these giant spectacles. No, we want some fucking matches. Let's get to the fucking matches.
I want a giant box of Bootios for the record.
I mean, in my yard, yes.
I like the giant spectacle aspect of it, having this.
It's a show.
This big show in a big stadium.
Fireworks is enough for me.
But but let's have more attention to the good matches. All this shit being said, all this negativity that we're doing here.
Still a lot of good stuff to go through.
There really is, and I want to go back to that tag match with Braun Strowman and Nicholas. I couldn't take my eyes off that kid in the corner. I did get a kick out of it, and then Braun Strowman relinquishing the titles the following night on Raw. We've got a scheduling conflict. He's only in the 4th grade. He can't defend the championship.
Or how about the fact that he walked right by Tanahashi and no way Jose in the fucking crowd. You had better chances out there, Strowman. Come on.
Yeah, Okada was there. Come on. Seriously, Braun? Come on. But no, I got a kick out. It turns out that was one of the referees.
The guy who called the match.
John Cone. So yeah, cool stuff there.
That's what I'm saying. This is an intermission match. Go get your beer, get a piss break, let this fucking moment happen. It's fucking having a great moment on Raw the next night. It's not insulting like Taker and Cena.
But and again too, but this is again, I enjoyed it. It was fun, but not necessary. See,
right before the final match.
Well, and especially because it looks like they're probably just going to put the tag belt right back on the bar. They're doing this tag team scramble thing on Monday Night Raw. The Revival are going to face.
I don't know, Bray and Matt.
They're getting their
They could take them.
They're getting their little push or whatever. But now you got AOP on Monday Night Raw as well. Superstar Shakeup coming next week. So
shit is going down.
Shit is going down. But my
or up.
My main point though is. I guess with the championships being off the bar, they're up. They could certainly go to SmackDown, so that's probably what's going to happen here. But with the tag team championships just going back to a tag team, it feels like it demeans the entire division when you have Braun just beat your champions by himself one night and then just give up the titles the next night. It's not as bad as Dolph Ziggler's one, but it paints the tag division as bad, I think.
Yeah, it was rough.
I was just going to respond. Doesn't every shit that goes up come down?
I think so. I don't know.
It's very bituminous of you.
What does that mean? I don't know.
What? No, yes.
What does that mean?
Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This was exactly what I thought it would be, with the exception of Shane McMahon took a hell of a long ass beating in that match.
Yes, he did.
Like, a lot of people talked about how it might be scary watching Daniel Bryan in a wrestling match knowing what we know. I was more afraid for Shane McMahon with diverticulitis getting his ass kicked.
Doing a fucking coast to coast with that shit.
Yes. Sammy made him look like $1 million with that shot. I'm telling you, the timing was perfect.
But yeah, it was exactly what it was, what it should have been. Daniel Bryan gets the win with the yes lock over those two. I love the follow up with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn showing up on Monday Night Raw and asking Kurt Angle if they can be hired on Monday Night Raw, but he's only got one spot.
My tag team division is full, but I hear that TNA is hiring.
Dropping the TNA bomb.
Yeah, that popped the crowd.
Someone asked Austin Aries about that comment. He's like, "Yeah, we're hiring, and we don't drug test. Well, we won't take money out of your pocket," and just started going off about it. He was like, "If you're gonna call us a company that folded a year ago, at least be current about it." Just being Austin Aries.
That's funny. Well, I suppose the only reason they did that is because it's not TNA anymore, and what the fuck, it's WrestleMania day or Raw after Mania, and we'll pop the crowd with a fun line like that. And then during their match, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, they go to the double 10 count. No one can answer the 10 count. They get double counted out, and the crowd starts chanting TNA, TNA after the thing, and then they start chanting. Then they wised up, New Japan, New Japan.
On a side note, though, WWE is actually teaming up with TNA for their old Hardy footage, and in the UK they're releasing like a history of the best of the Hardys between their whole career.
Hey, if they can make a couple bucks off of WWE, why the fuck not?
That is interesting.
Yeah, no, WWE is releasing it.
But I wonder,
that's what I mean. They had to pay for it.
I wonder how much Impact is getting for that, or maybe they worked out some sort of royalty deal, possibly.
Right.
It'd be smart if they did it that way, but maybe not the other way.
But it's interesting because you got fucking Angle's library there, fucking name it, everyone's libraries there.
Yeah, AJ, Samoa Joe.
It's cool. I dig that.
Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss. Again, another match that was exactly what I wanted it to be.
Yep.
Nia winning with the second rope Samoan drop. It was Nia Jax beating the shit out of Alexa Bliss, and when she wasn't doing that, Alexa Bliss was running away like the cowardly heel that she has been portrayed to be the entire time. It was perfect. They didn't do a thing where she got some sneaky heat and was beating up Nia for a while. It was Nia being dominant as it should have been.
And she looked good doing it, though.
Absolutely.
Well, and I love her taking out Mickie James at the beginning of the matches. Well, too, taking out the X Factor.
Yes.
And actually some nice fucking ring attire, too.
Yeah, I
loved it. She looked like I don't want to be mean, but she looked like a fucking wrestler. She looked badass. She was throwing Alexa Bliss around and,
How you doing?
not, she didn't look green doing it. So yeah, mad props to her, both of them.
Absolutely.
That and her debuting Ember Moon on Raw as well. Mm-hmm. The next night.
Yes, that's another big story. Ember Moon coming out to be her partner was another. It felt good, and that was exactly what it should have been. It was a match to basically get Ember Moon and her finisher over it.
Yeah,
and I thought that was really good too. We talked briefly about the Bludgeon Brothers, New Day, and Usos, and how we didn't like that. It was just a shorter match. It's unfortunate. Somewhat predictably, the Bludgeon Brothers getting the win here kind of took away a little bit from the feel-good story of the Usos, defending on the grandest stage of them all, and them never had the match at WrestleMania before. But
well, and I actually think this was more disappointing than Undertaker and John Cena. Undertaker John Cena was what it was, but this was like built up. Like I really thought this was going to steal the show. Just adding Bludgeon Brothers to Usos and New Day already. I mean, these teams are experienced. They know each other. We know what they can do. And it was just another mauling by the Bludgeon Brothers. It felt like nothing. And again, you just destroyed the two best teams on SmackDown Live besides the Bludgeon Brothers.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Usos, New Day, in the Superstars shakeup, because the Usos have been killing it over on SmackDown. I wouldn't be surprised if they got moved over to Raw. Same thing kind of with the New Day, although again, I'm a little
Paige's GM. They're moving to Raw.
I'm a little burnt out on the New Day thing.
You've been saying that for years.
But I am. That's the thing. The short stacks just weren't doing it for me,
I just want them to start going after singles in titles. They could stay the New Day. They could stay together, but when Xavier Woods going after that United States title,
that was good,
tourney, that was awesome. It was fun. I want to see, Big E go after the Intercontinental again, or fucking, Clint Dix finally going for the big one.
Kofi Kingston.
You're right, though, too, because I don't think those if they break up and go individual ways, I don't think that'd be as good either. And they've done okay with kind of freshening things up with the pancakes now instead of the Bootios cereal or whatever. I ain't gonna lie, I've loved what they've done between the New Day and the Usos too. So it'll be interesting to see where those teams go. But yeah, the Bludgeon Brothers, I feel like they needed a bigger moment at WrestleMania, because it feels like they've just been in squash matches, and then they have this short match at WrestleMania. I kind of needed a longer competitive, more some kind of show-stealing tag team match out of these guys, and something to prove that they belong at the top of the tag division, and it just wasn't there.
That was kind of the story of the whole WrestleMania, was the matches we thought were going to be show stealers didn't really end up being show stealers, and the matches that we thought were like, that's a fucking solid match, was like, fuck, that was a great match. And then there was some pleasant surprises, like Nia. I was really surprised by that one.
Well, let's go to the match that was my favorite match of the show was Charlotte versus Asuka. We kind of touched on it a little bit already. Again, I thought it could have been a little bit longer, and I thought it would have been better. But I think it was surprising that Charlotte got the win. Not only got the win, but tapped Asuka out. With the figure eight. I think it was a big story. Again, I thought it would have been a little bit better had they gone just a little bit longer, just tease that finish a little bit more, a little more back and forth, going for near falls and whatnot, I think would have added to it. But again, I thought to spin it more towards the positive, I thought the frantic pace of the match kind of added to the drama, especially early on. They were just they were going and going and going and going.
Well, they have in a sense, they have very different styles. Like, again, Charlotte has a little bit more power than Asuka's going to have. So seeing two people just like, they were pretty much putting their will on each other, like they each had their moments where like you got their big spots, like everything was crisp, I guess is the best way I could say it. Is like this was a clinic with these two. It wasn't just like a wrestling match. They were showing everything that they could do.
Nicholas would have won in 4 minutes.
That's true.
Charlotte had that impressive top rope Spanish fly. Thought that was pretty cool. Asuka suplexed Charlotte off the apron to the floor. That was one of the more dramatic spots in the match because Charlotte's down there selling. She's telling the ref, "I can't breathe," and I'm believing it because she looks like she's dying. She looks like she's dying. She looks like she's about to cry. It was so good. And then the follow up, man, Charlotte is taking some fucking brutal bumps.
Yeah.
Fast forward to SmackDown when the iconic duo come out and interrupt her.
Boy.
They beat the shit out of Charlotte. They hit that it was kind of like a power bomb thing, but they lift her up and just drop her flat on her back on the floor.
It's Charlotte just deadpanned while trying to get her in the ring.
It was just
Peyton was just struggling to get in there. That was kind of some ribbon there, I believe, but
just dead weight after taking that brutal bump on the floor.
But made them look fucking so strong.
What I thought was the dumbest thing about that, though, is that she's dead weight. They put her back in the ring just so they can stand tall. Right,
but it's iconic, though.
Yeah, right, well, I suppose, that was very iconic of them to do. So I did like that. And then Carmelo.
Obviously.
Yeah, Mella!
With the cash in, talking some smack after the match. I like that. To me, it felt like it didn't feel like any type of burial for Charlotte or whatever.
No,
it was an awesome debut for the iconic duo, and it feels like Charlotte's probably moving to Raw after this. It was a way to get the championship off of her and move her back.
I actually like the delay from the referee too. Like, are you sure you want to cash this in right now? Because there's been so many times she's like, nope.
That was in hindsight, that was so hilarious because as I'm watching, I'm like, what the fuck, ref?
Yes, I was like, come on, dude, let her cash it in.
He is milking that thing for. Are you sure you really want to do this now? And Carmella's throwing a fit. I'm on my couch like, are you really doing this bullshit again?
She's screaming at the top of her lungs. I love that
because they've had so many like near cash-ins or such, like where the ref gets handed the thing, but it doesn't quite make it to the timekeeper, and some bullshit, or somebody kicks it out of her hand or whatever. Oh, it's not quite a cash in yet. So, that was perfect. I loved all of that.
And then her just constantly wasting time afterwards. How many laps did she do up and down the ring? Like, that was just awesome. Just that look on her face.
Just to add one little part, it's just Charlotte too, like sitting in the ring, like. You fucking got me.
You finally did it.
It's nothing I can do about that.
Yep. Let's talk about Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle versus Triple H and Stephanie. Kind of the running theme is a good number of these matches are exactly what we thought they should have been, and that's exactly what this was.
This was a surprise to me.
Yeah, Ronda looked really good in there. They did a good job of protecting her, giving her limited things to do that she looked really good at doing, and so that was a big help. But go ahead, Taco.
Well, one thing that I really loved about it, though, was like when it was, everybody in the corners and Kurt and Triple H are going at it in the middle of the ring. The thing that really hurt Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey was Ronda Rousey playing by the book, the inexperience, not being the ring awareness, So I loved how that was, a factor. Like Stephanie, doing cheap shots, and Ronda Rousey be like, "Fuck that ain't happening," and then storming to the other side of the right, and the ref's like, "No, you can't do that," and taking his eyes off the match. So it's just like little things like that was just so brilliantly done. So.
And a big part of the heat in the match was Triple H yanking the ref out of the ring at one point, and then yanking Ronda Rousey out of the ring. So like the contact initiated between Triple H, the big man, and Ronda Rousey, the woman. So that was a part of the heat of the match. But then Ronda, getting in Triple H's face later, saying, "Come on, let's do this." And then finally no, convincing the referee, "Okay, fine, let's do this." And then she fucking hauls off on Triple H with the punches and everything.
Awesome.
Everything that Ronda Rousey did was very satisfying, and they built up to it really well.
Even Stephanie McMahon, like every one of her moves, everything that because she's the least believable fighter in that fucking group.
Yeah.
So, but everything she did was a cheap shot or at the right moment or just being, a snarky bitch in a sense. So, yeah, it was just fucking so fun, so awesome.
Well, and let's rewind 1 week ago to me. I had zero interest in this match.
Yeah.
And this, like he said, surprising. It was paced so well. They did every little detail perfect, where she needed to be, where everyone needed to be, and like you said, the finish is what we needed. We needed Ronda Rousey with the win. We needed her to slap that armbar on her.
One thing that was slightly disappointing is that I knew we weren't going to get the American Badass Undertaker when Triple H and Stephanie came out on those motorcycles.
Yeah.
I was like, we're not getting the American Badass. Triple H and Steph stole that gimmick for this show. Other than that, a fun match. When Jinder won the United States Championship versus Bob Roode, Rusev, and Orton, I'm like, come on, are we doing this shit again? Everybody wanted Rusev to win, and it was disappointing.
By the way, Jinder and then with the follow-up on SmackDown, the fact that Randy Orton won number 1 contendership, and they brought up, hey, Jinder won his first championship from Randy Orton. Yeah, let's do this shit again. This sounds awesome.
Bob Roode and Randy Orton, though, that was a good fucking match on SmackDown. Very well paced, very hard hitting. Like, I thought I was going to be Titus moding it, and no, I fucking stuck through. Bob Roode. Yeah,
and I did like how they did the two matches that were basically number 1 contenderships or whatever, between, it was Orton versus Roode, right?
Yeah.
And Orton got the win. Or no, it was
Orton versus Rusev again.
Rusev it was a three-way.
Yep.
Orton, Roode, and Rusev. And Orton got the win because he got to keep basically his rematch clause, in other words. And they did the same thing with, what was the other match they did that with on SmackDown? I forget now. Natalya and Naomi? Was that? No.
On SmackDown? Yeah, it was Natty and Naomi.
Well, they did that match, but no, the New Day and the Usos.
Yep.
They had basically a number 1 contenders match, whereas if the Usos lost, they would lose their rematch clause, basically. And so I thought that was the right thing to do, is have the former champs, win these number 1 contender matches so that they can at least have their, quote, rematch clause. So I did like that aspect of it. But yeah, Jinder does nothing for me, man. I mean, I know everybody wanted Rusev in that spot, so we'll just keep holding our breath and praying. Rusev is over.
Maybe he buries the Undertaker.
Maybe he buries the Undertaker, and we never see the Undertaker again. So maybe that'll happen. Who knows?
Yep, totally gonna happen.
The opener, Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor,
fucking banger for
versus
an opener.
The Miz. This one felt like the right decision too, having Rollins get the win. He's been getting a pretty nice push on Raw the last month or so. Monday Night Rollins having that big gauntlet match where he went over an hour in the ring there.
See, and this is the way it started off WrestleMania. This was my match of the night. This was the one that still caught my eye, that I was still thinking about even towards the end of WrestleMania, was these three going at it. That, like, again, Miz stepped up in this spot, everybody calls him, the soft wrestler, but he hits his moments. He hits those perfect spots, and mixed in with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, I mean, you can't miss. They got everything down. Every move is ready to go and raring to go. And again, they blew the roof off. First match of the night.
Well, and Miz, the new man, he dismisses the Miz-tourage so he can go out there and do it on his own, and then follows it up by bitching about it the next day on Monday Night Raw. Brings the Miz-tourage right back into the fold. What did you think of Finn Balor coming out with the representing LGBTQ and Finn Balor? The Balor Club is for everyone. I thought it was a classy move. I think it's smart in the current climate that we're in, and I just think it's cool.
Yeah, it was fun, and that WWE is going to sell a lot of shirts off of that, but they usually donate, portions to different groups. I feel like this is a smart move, and as long as Finn Balor's cool with it, I don't give a shit.
Well, I'm sure it was Finn's. I'm sure that was.
I just wish
Finn's
it was
idea.
gayer, like more streamers and Barrow Bailey's whacking inflatable arm, like.
Well, it is WWE. I wouldn't put it past him to get to that point at some point.
By the way, when we started this, we were supposed to talk about the pre-show. We didn't even touch on either of the Rumbles.
Well, who cares?
Dude, Matt Hardy won.
Well, we did. I was like, the Naomi thing, good win. The Matt Hardy thing, like, good, a good win for them, too.
I mean, I did.
We skipped the cruiserweight match.
I did.
Yeah.
we kind of talked about that, too.
We don't need to go back.
We're good.
We bring up old history, Joe.
Yeah, we mentioned it.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Let's move on.
But I like the Balor entrance.
Superplexes aren't used
Shut
anymore?
up, Joe. I liked it though because with like the Bullet Club shit that's going on, it still kind of keeps on the same wavelength as like the Bullet Club. With like Kenny Omega and the Golden Lovers story going on there. So it's kind of like a nod to that going on too out there. So yeah, it was cool.
And it's also a nod to the more diverse audience. That's
and
a growing audience.
I know. God, I can't even think of her name right now. DeVille, she had a big influence too, and big stories being told out there. Yeah, so awesome shit.
All right, that was WrestleMania, man. That was wow.
You want to talk about the pre-show now, Joe?
No, we can talk about Bobby Lashley though.
Okay, yeah,
those fucking eyebrows. What the fuck?
That's the first thing that comes out.
Bad.
But yeah, I thought that was cool what they did with Bobby Lashley coming out. Some people saw a little spoiler because they caught the little video screen or whatever before Monday Night Raw. They had it like in the production area or whatever. But yeah,
fuck that up, WWE.
But yeah, him interrupting Elias, I thought that was a big cool moment. Yeah, Raw was a hot show. Authors of Pain coming out and dismissing Paul Ellering. Yes, thank you. Not HaHa Clinton did.
Clinton.
Whoa.
Yeah, hell of a show. Monday Night Raw was anyway.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, fucking Raw's getting all the fucking debuts. Well, we have a fucking shake-up next week, people.
Yeah, settle down.
SmackDown had some hot stuff, too. I mean, we didn't really talk about that. We talked about the Nakamura turn, but, over on SmackDown, the main event, Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles.
Yeah.
Hot fucking, dream match. Talk about it.
Paige's new GM, first match he made.
Yep. Paige, new GM on SmackDown. And then Nakamura with the fresh heel turn just fucking up that main event for us. Was a lot of fun. But yeah, you had the iconic duo over on SmackDown, the big Carmella win. So, but yeah,
I think they were talking about like NXT debuts. A lot of people bitching about. It's like, no, we're just gonna mix people up. Still, it's the fucking Monday night. It's the next day after WrestleMania. Of course, we're gonna get more of that night.
Who knows? Authors of Pain could end up getting shaken over to SmackDown. You never know.
Oh, AOP Bludgeon Brothers. That'd be a barn burner.
All right, let's talk the show of the weekend. Everyone was raving about it. Such a great main event.
The pre-show?
Yeah, the pre-show. No, it's NXT. Man, that main event was so good. Obviously, we talked about wanting a payoff to the storyline that's been building for over a year. The Tommaso Ciampa injury, of course, played in a lot into it, lasting this long. But, my God, what an amazing match. They pulled out all the stops. We just watched this week's NXT TV before recording the show today, and they mixed in a lot. It was basically a lot of highlights from the takeover, but the first thing that jumped out to me is like, they did that power bomb to the bare concrete floor off the apron that I almost forgot about it because it was such an amazing match.
It's actually another match I went back and rewatched.
Yeah, that's definitely. I'll probably want to go back and rewatch that multiple times.
The entire
whole event, I went back and rewatched that.
Match of the year, though, candidate for sure between those two, between the storylines, the match itself, the physicality. They were hitting so fucking. Tommaso Ciampa's eye fucking swollen up by the end of the match. Yeah. He looked like people were comparing it to
his logo,
the Johnny Gargano logo. Yeah, so that was.
He became what he hated most.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, again, for me, you're talking Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Aleister Black, Andrade's match of the year candidate for me. These two put on a hell of a match.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that at all.
There's just nowhere to start. Nowhere to start.
I want to go back to the main event. Ciampa stealing some dude's crutches in the match.
Really like that.
That's awesome.
It was kind of funny because like as soon as he stole the guy's crutches, security all right, you got to get the fuck out of here now.
Yeah, let's go. It's like, or for sure get his crutch back. Like help the guy out.
That was the only kind of weird spot in the match. I love that the ref was in all black in the match, just because it's an unsanctioned match. The ref is in different attire. He's not in official official WWE attire.
He's just there to make the count, man.
He had the black gloves on at the beginning.
It was casual
at the beginning of the match, kind of almost like an MMA bout. So I thought that was a really cool and a nice touch. I don't know.
Just Ciampa's fucking music coming out. Oh wait, there was none.
Yeah.
It was the shouts of boo, fuck you, Ciampa, you're an asshole, I hate you. Just what more could you want as a heel?
Yeah. Oh, the lawn dart into the exposed buckle. And then just the end of the match when he goes after him with the fucking crutch, and he's so beaten down, and he's cowering, and Gargano has that moment of what are we doing here? We were supposed to be best friends, and then Ciampa tries to fucking turn the screws on him again. Gargano sees it coming, gets him in the Gargano escape, but he escapes. The knee brace comes off. He whacks him with the knee brace, gets him in the STF with the knee brace. It was just God. It was so perfect and such a. I mean, we talk about there's way too many, no disqualification.
This matchup is now anything goes.
This one was done just so well. I can't rave enough about it.
Yeah,
but
5 stars, man.
100%, just a 5-star show altogether, really.
Yeah.
The Aleister Black, Andrade Cien Almas, as you said, Joe, your favorite match of this. Zelina with the skullduggery. That was the story of the match. Was just Zelina continuing to bring the skullduggery to interfere and constantly getting away with it. And finally, it was Andrade catches her coming off the top rope because
and then he hits that kick
because because Aleister moves out of the way and then hits him with that black mass. Just so good. Awesome. So good. How do you guys feel about Aleister being the champion? Now, I'm not sure how I feel about happy smiling Aleister Black. I prefer the brooding, kind of grumpy Aleister Black, but he was very happy and smiling when he won the championship.
We won't see moments like that often from him, so it was good. It was special. Yep. He's like I said, I thought he's someone that doesn't need the NXT, just the championship on him to really get over. He's just so awesome head to toe, but at the same time, that's someone that deserves a championship, someone who doesn't scream champion. So yeah, a fucking good win for him, and such a over someone such like Andrade. It's an awesome win.
Whoa, Andre came back to life. No, like you said, just some of the shit they were pulling off, and like you said, he doesn't need the championship, but let's put it this way, he doesn't. If you don't think he looks like a champion, Andrade, he doesn't look like, the typical WWE champion, but that's what makes these NXT champions so great, is it's their wrestling. It has nothing to do about size, it has nothing to do about bulk. These guys can wrestle, and I think this is just I think Aleister is going to get this nice little title run so we can see how he sustains success. And like you said, you like the brooding one, but like thinking about just this feud building up, like him having fun at Zelina's expense. Yeah. I like that Aleister.
That was good.
And I think that's the Aleister we're going to get. We're not going to get the, I'm champ, raising it, happy go. No, he's going to be the same fucking Aleister Black walking down to the ring. I'm ready for business and I'm ready for work. Let's do this.
Authors of Pain versus Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong versus Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. We should almost talk about the ladder match before this because Adam Cole was in that ladder match. Yeah, let's go to the ladder match at the beginning of the show because that makes more sense to talk about that first. First of all, great debut for EC3 and Ricochet, I thought.
Yes,
especially Ricochet because he looked phenomenal in the match.
Right off the bat.
I think the story about EC3 was his willingness to just take fucking beatings in the matches. Getting like the spot where he had the ladder like on top of his chest and people just kept piling down on top of him, and then I think at one point he's laying on top of a ladder and people keep coming down on top of him. It's just he was just getting brutalized with stuff in there.
I said it last week. He's like on redemption with WWE right now. You know, he went out there and made a name for himself, but he came back to NXT of all places. So there's that thin layer where he just has to kind of take a few ass beatings before he gets, on that path again. So
I can't even get over
that's the way to do it.
I can't even get over his fucking theme song. It just makes me so fucking happy.
I do miss the Impact theme song, the trouble. That was I got a kick out of that. But yeah, what he's got now, the 1%er thing is.
Everybody came out of this match looking great.
Yeah. I mean, that purple Rainmaker off the top of the ladder.
Jesus Christ!
Fucking, he was. Props to Velveteen Dream for being, the green newest guy in this match, taking some big risks.
Christ, Tam, from that fucking ladder, like. Why?
Well, and then doing the Death Valley driver
on top of the ladder.
Yeah. And then they did the two bridging ladders between the ring and the table where the guys did the fucking craziness through them. Just fuck what a. We talked about the Ring of Honor ladder match over on Strong Honor from Supercard of Honor between the Young Bucks teaming up with Flip Gordon versus SoCal Uncensored, and the insanity of that match. But this one was way more physical, every man for themselves, so that you didn't have the team aspect, but more hard hitting, more physical, and this was
structured perfectly to set up for that win at the end.
Right, we're watching the Ring of Honor, it felt like spot heavy, like we're setting up for spots, where this one was just constant action. Where they're setting up for spots, but it just felt like it just it kept moving. Not that the other one didn't. It's just they were both very good, very brutal ladder matches, but just this one was a little more brutal and just different, I don't know. But yeah, Adam Cole getting the win. I was shocked. I don't want to say I was shocked, but I was hoping and kind of expecting Ricochet to get it and possibly EC3. But I wasn't. I like this move with Adam Cole. It makes it interesting.
I was expecting someone like an EC3. Ricochet, the money's in the chase for him right now. Because they still gotta debut him to the NXT crowd and really showcase what he can do, not in a ladder match.
yeah, I think so. That'll be really cool to see. But Adam Cole wins here, comes back in the tag match, and he gets put through a table right away, and then he just lays out there for the entirety of the match, pretty much. Which it kind of begs the question, like, why even do it like that? But whatever. But the whole story of the tag match anyway was Roderick Strong turning at the end and joining the Undisputed Era, taking the place basically of Bobby Fish in the group until he comes back from injury, if he comes back from injury. Interesting stuff there. It's definitely the right move at this point for Roderick Strong. He's been having great matches, but him as a heel, I think with this group, I think is gonna, with the talking ability of Adam Cole, I think that's gonna help him out. He can just go out there and be a badass and kick ass and heal it up out there with Kyle O'Reilly, and I think it's a good move for Roderick Strong.
And what I like about it, and going in, obviously into the finish of the tag team or the tag title match, with Roddy turning and doing it on Pete Dunne again, it sets them up for a series of match. Undisputed Era could possibly have the North American Championship, the Tag Team Championships, and if he gets in a feud with Pete Dunne, the UK Championship. They're going for the gold, man. It doesn't matter where the gold's from. We just want all the gold. And I like that storyline.
I like gold.
Wow.
Ember Moon versus Shayna Baszler for the Women's Championship. This was good.
This is what it needed to be.
Yeah. Moon getting some revenge in the match, stomping on Shayna Baszler's arm, but Baszler just doing some different things that you have not seen, like popping her own shoulder back in on the ring post. Just unique things like that. Let's see. Ember Moon hitting the Eclipse on the floor. So I thought, again, with Ember Moon doing the stuff to Baszler's arm, getting a lot of her offense in, but not in the right spots, on the floor, fucking up the arm, but then she pops it back in on the post. I thought all that was done really well.
Like a fucking Terminator.
Yeah, but then, Baszler getting the sleeper at the end and just putting her out. And
last time she slips it into Ember Moon's face is priceless. If you haven't haven't paid attention to it, it's almost a look of horror, like when she gets it snapped in. It's so perfect.
And just the way that they kind of got in and out of it and worked it really well at the end of the match. This is, it's going to happen. She escapes or whatever, then they go right back to it. So, yeah, just really well done. And good to see Ember Moon up on the main roster. And Shayna Baszler talking about, look, it's not about what you're wearing. It's, you're going to have to be a wrestler here in NXT. So maybe that's the thing. I liked that interview from this week.
It was a really good promo.
NXT. So I wonder if they're going to be maybe going the badass babyface route with her kind of eventually as she goes on a tear. Maybe we'll see. Because it's not going to be Lacey Evans getting over, that's for sure.
We still can get a Kairi Sane, her rematch, down the line. There's tons of possibilities to build up.
And I think that's probably one that they're going to build up to pretty
Let's not forget Nikki Cross as well. Nikki Cross is a wild card in that situation.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and that would be
in any situation.
That would be a hell of a match too. So. And then that was the card, man. That was short and sweet card, good card,
right to the point.
Awesome match.
You guys want to talk about WrestleMania 34 pre-show now?
Yeah, absolutely. I heard Undertaker just started his entrance.
So
John Cena just started drinking his beer.
So make sure you check out Strong Honor this week. Super Card of Honor. We talk about all of that over there. Ring of Honor's biggest show in history, one of its longest shows in history, but some really good stuff on that card as well. And then we talked about some of the indie stuff that we did see, some of the indie stuff we didn't see over the weekend. Impact and Lucha Underground having a joint show. All of that you can find over there on Strong
Good shit.
Honor.
Tons of good shit.
Sure. So make sure you follow this show on Twitter at BPW Podcast, Facebook.com/Best Pro Wrestling Podcast. Go to bestprowrestlingpodcast.com for this show, Strong Honor, and all the back episodes of both of the shows you can find there as well. Email the show, bestprowrestlingpodcast@gmail.com, and you can follow me at Tommy Stryker, spell Stryker with a Y. Taco, where can people find you?
Follow me on Twitter at HGREV Taco.
I'll throw it in there that check us. You can also download us and check us out at sltdwrestling.com.
Yes.
There's a fantasy league. They do the predictions leagues for all the pay-per-views. Definitely worth a shot to check it out.
Hi.
I don't know if I'm number one anymore. I'm a little disappointed in myself.
Lana's number one.
But don't forget that I'm Joe, and you can follow me at Joe BPWP. That's at Joe Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.
That's going to do it for the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast this week. Bye.
Peace.
Lana's the best.
Rusev number one. Rusev
Lana is the best. Lana number one. Lana is the best. Lana number one. Lana is the best. Lana number one.
What else? I hear the TNA is hiring.
What happened there?
My phone.
Oh, okay.
It's not my fault.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
Just ask me.